Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Coach's Corner with
Sharea.
and Sherry. And we are continuing with our Small Business Saturday series where we give you information that you can use to start your business, to maintain your business, and to grow as well. So today we are going to be talking about choosing your target client. And this is an
Yes.
area that Sharia has totally rocked out in. So I'm going to be her hype man. No, but in all seriousness, Sharia has been established in business for several years, so she's perfected this, and it has enabled her to be able to expand her business to offer multiple programs and services. So Sharia is going to start us off with talking about the things that you need to keep in mind when you are choosing your target client. She's going to give some examples, and then we'll wrap it up, and we'll both talk about our processes of choosing our target clients as well.
Okay, so I'm going to preference this by saying that I'm going to try my best to keep this short because it is something I enjoy to talk about. I think it's one of the most important parts of business is to really narrow down and be specific as to who you are talking to. So that way that they can hear your voice and hear them talking to you. And so I'm going to put my timer on because if I don't, I can get to yakking. I'm going to do this also a little bit different because I'm actually going to share my screen like we're in school because I do take this really serious when it comes to really trying to restart or even start a new program. I'm very specific on identifying who my ideal client is before I start to really build the program up. The reason I do this is because I've found that it's made my programs more successful when I was able to really know who I'm talking to directly. And part of that is being able to communicate with my audience, but also being able to get feedback based off of their demographics, their conversations with me, and then to build a picture of them. And so for me, I literally build a picture of them. And you're going to actually see that as I switch to share my screen with you guys. Um, and then I'm going to talk through that actual experience of building my ideal client. All right. So can you see it, Sherry?
Yes.
All right. So this is really how I work when it comes to building up a client and identifying who I'm going to serve. And so if you notice, I don't know if you can tell, but this is about 9 pages. And literally, this is just for one program that I started a few years back. Now, I think about 2 years ago, I started my YouTube channel. And prior to starting my YouTube channel and the services and things that actually birthed this actual group, the self-care group, was starting it by actually identifying who I was going to talk to in my videos, who I was specifically addressing in my videos, and who voice I needed to represent so that they could get my level of expertise to help impact their area of need. And so the first couple of areas that you really, or that I look at, and I'll show you this person. So really, Tanya is her name. Like, she's a smart woman. That's her last name, right? So what you look at is area of location, her type of business, what kind of industry she's in. So for me, my client, our ideal client, or who I was speaking to at the time, was an professional African American and or Latinx woman who actually is between the ages of 35 to 45. And that varies because at some points I move the age up and some ages I move down depending on the service that I'm providing, right? And so for my therapeutic services, because my background is in adolescent and youth, I actually have clients as young as 15 and as old as 70 something, right? But my ideal and target group for that program is different than if I was doing my YouTube channel. So I'm looking at their demographics, their age, their race, their status of marriage or family status, right? Which is going to be if they're divorced or they're married. Do they have children? If so, how many children? Are they a single parent? Are they a partnered parent? And are they, what's their general income, right? So for my ideal client, and this is very specific to even my counseling center, is that most of my clients are professional Black and Brown people, regardless of gender, for the counseling. However, for the YouTube channel, I'm very specific that my audience is female. My audience is a certain age group of females and Black and Latinx women, right? And then as I strolled up. So you notice here, I have a whole section on who Tanya is. And if you had the opportunity to scan through while I was talking, you would see that I actually am telling a story so that she becomes real in my mind. So that when every time I'm talking to someone and I'm talking to, not someone, when I'm talking to my customers, I'm talking to Tanya as if I know her and as if I know her story because I've recognized what she represents. Now, that doesn't mean all my clients are accountants, right? But it does mean that they're professional women, right? So they might not be an accountant, but they're a lawyer, or they're, in my case, they're principals, vice principals, teachers, different things that might represent a professional Black woman, right? But then I need to know what's important to Tanya. What's important to Tanya is her business that she wants to start, because my background also for coaching and specifically for leadership and executive coaching is surrounding developing and starting businesses and or maintaining them. That becomes an important part of the person I'm talking to. You want to be interested in business? It's more likely that I'm going to want to talk to someone who's interested in business, right? And then what types of things is she in develop? What will she buy? What won't she buy? Right. So if you go, I'm not going to go into each of them. Is she into fitness and wellness? What types of food and drinks? And this might seem like, wow, that's getting way too detailed, but it's not. What actually is happening is that she's becoming real to me. And when she becomes real to me, then I'm more likely to connect on how I can help her. And if you are thinking about impact, and especially if you're providing services, you want them to be impactful to the person and people that you plan to serve. And if you don't make them real, you have what I might consider general services versus specific services. And to me, when you're most successful, you're specific to your audience. That doesn't mean you don't have space to grow. Your audience doesn't have space to grow. It just means that you need to know who you're talking to. And so some of the areas or problems specific to what I may be needing to address might be considered her problems or her 3 wellness problems. And for me, I said at least 3. I will sometimes do more. So she might identify with struggling boundaries in her mental health. She might have blockages around the divorce. She might have blockages around her relationship and boundaries and work-life balance and how to maintain a healthy mental health, right? So now I know when I'm making my videos, that's who I'm talking to. I'm talking about how do you change your mind? I'm talking about how do you, right? So all of a sudden, because I can see my client, this ideal person, then now I can have a conversation with her that makes her interested in me as, and not me individually, but me as a business, meaning like my brand becomes Sharea knows how to help people or encourage people. My brand becomes Sharea is an inspiring person, can help make sure that you feel motivated, right? So then your brand becomes the conversation you're able to have with your ideal client. And to me, so that's just one person. I do at least one, I think I do 3. Yeah, I do at least 3, it might be 4. I know this is something else that's going into competition. We'll talk about that in another video. But what you'll notice in this breakdown is that giving yourself 3 different people that you're talking to. I've changed some of the variations of my clients in order to kind of talk to what the frame and demographic frame, age frame, income frame, meaning 35 to 45, income between 50 to 100K, right? So I try to create multiple clients that represent a different level within those ranges, right? And so even though each person is different, that also means now I can talk to Tamika, Tanya, and I can't remember my other client name. Let's see if I can. Tamika, Tanya, and Natalie. So I talked to each of them. One's married, one's divorced. I think one has never been married, right? So being able to identify each need is different, but each of them are listening to my story. So I need my product to address each of their problems. So I hope that was really helpful. That was like the quickest summary, and that was still 9 minutes. So I'm going to stop sharing so that Sharea and I can now have a quick kind of conversation about how we decided to do this for ourselves.
So to be completely transparent, I'm the typical person who's like, I want to serve everyone, which makes it so hard to be able to find your client demographic, to speak to them, and to now have your business be able to grow. So I'm being transparent to let you know I was really not cooperative with that whole process. But
Not
the
at all.
downside to that, the downside to that though is that my business has been stunted because of it. So I'm going to be transparent about that as well.
Mhm.
It can be so hard, especially when you come from positions where you do serve someone, everyone. So for instance, I work for employers where I've had, yes, youth as my clients, and in that same organization, I'm working with adults or senior citizens. And then, with me doing things like within my church, again, I work with the babies all the way up to the senior citizens. And so now coming into this business where it's like, no, Shara, you can't serve everyone. It was really difficult for me to really be cooperative to that, be cooperative with that process. It's not till very, very, very recently where I have been able to see that my target population is Black Christian women ages 20 to 45. The reason why I'm even more confident of that is because seeing who's been buying my products since I've had my business, who is it that engages on my social media, who opens up my emails when I'm sending those out, to my contact list, who are the people who are engaging with me, who are the people who are reaching out to me, and it is that very specific demographic. And so now I'm in a position to be able to be true not only to who I am, but also to be true to the clients who need what I have to
Exactly.
offer.
And that becomes part of really where it's beneficial to narrow it down. So I always tell everyone, I know who my ideal client is, but I serve everyone. So I know who I'm talking to, but the outliners are still accepted to get help. So I've had people on my
Absolutely.
YouTube channel and also on my Instagram say, but I'm a white woman and this helped me. And my first thing to them is say, I'm grateful that it was able to help you. However, my audience is and target is Black women or Latinx women. And not because I don't like anyone else, but because that's who I'm talking to. And I'm grateful that you're able to get help from me, but my target still remains who it is. So I'm not going to be, first off, if you know me, I am I am super unapologetically Black. And I'm not going to, me loving and being who I am doesn't hinder or stop me from loving other people. It just means that I'm very
Absolutely.
clear as to who I am working for and who I am servicing first. And if you are included in those services, that doesn't mean that you're not important. It means that you weren't my target, right? So I will
Right.
always if you know my clients, I have literally, I think at this point, I have every race. and I say that jokingly, but I know that they all feel very much connected to me. However, my target and discussion initially is about who I'm servicing. I even in my if you read my bio, I'm very unapologetic that I say my primary client is a black woman, and then I put in parentheses, not exclusively, because the reality is that I'm going to service anyone, but my target is who I'm focused on. And if my voice speaks to you because you identify with that target, then I don't care who you are because I'll still serve you because you have the need, right? So it's
Absolutely.
being okay with that and being okay with if you plan to grow. And so how do I say this nicely? The thing of time out for a second. If you plan to grow, even if it's not regarding race, because it could be age, it could be gender, it could be area of income. If you plan to grow, you need to get specific in several areas. That means you need to either if you're going to do gender, do gender. If you're going to do age, but you need to be specific so that you can talk to that person as if they are the one-on-one with you. Because if the people feel like you're talking to everyone, then they can rule themselves out as your customer, right? Versus if it feels like a person is hearing you talk directly to them, they're more likely to be engaged. And actually, to me personally, I would want it no other way. I want you to feel connected to me because I'm connected to serving those who are in need that look like me, who have had, to me, oppressed and or underserved populations have the worst providers. And so therefore, I want to be able to provide you with the best services, just like everyone else is getting. And why shouldn't I?
Mm-hmm.
right? And so being clear that being specific benefits you and your client. It benefits them because they feel heard and seen, which is something specifically for my target population is important to me, because for years we have not been heard or seen. And now I can speak to your issue and give you resolution because of my own expertise. That's a win-win. Like, I don't see the problem. So yes, you want to help the world, and I don't discriminate. However, I do very much feel like, and you can do this with any successful business, they know who their ideal client is. There's a reason why the certain brands don't even do commercials during certain talk shows or certain interviews, certain time frames, because that's not their audience. They know that if you're at home, you're probably not working, which means that you can't afford my Lexus, right? So they're going to target their population no differently than those larger companies are doing it. Why don't you benefit from it too? I'm sorry, I'm getting on my soapbox. Taking off.
So ultimately, really take from this is that your target puts you in a position to grow, and it doesn't limit you, because again, there will be outliers. When we're both talking about our targets, we know who we're aiming for, but based upon the needs and what we have, the needs of the individuals who are watching us, there can also be some outliers. So outside of my demographic, I've had people who reached out to me or connect with
Exactly.
me, and I'm not going to turn them down. Why would I do? Like, the only time I'm going to turn someone down is when I can't support your need because I'm not the best choice for you. I
Or it's
won't
not in my
turn you down.
competency. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Because that's just, and also just being a person of integrity. The only
Yeah.
time you turn someone down is when you're not the best person to service their need, because that's not your area of expertise. And so having your target does not mean you can never serve anyone outside of it. Is really just allowing you to be focused, and again, making it easier for your ideal target to be able to find you.
Yes, and just one last point. I'm sorry. I did not make this point, but this is extremely important. Know where your audience is at. So you know how I know my age group? Where are they on social media? What social media is more like I don't even go on like Snapchat, TikTok, all of that. That's not my audience. My audience barely knows how to use Facebook. So like being okay with that. I mean, honestly, my audience is actually really tech savvy. So I go between Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn as my three areas, depending on the service or the program, right? So my LinkedIn is really for my professional trainings and social workers and people that I impact. But then the other two are for more of the self-care / emotional wellness areas. And I'm going to stop there. You guys be well.
So thank you for joining us. We will see you all soon.
All right, take care.
Bye.